Okay, our next assignment is a composition assignment where I'd really like you to take a look at creating different types of views in Revit other than the kind of standard Revit view that you get. If you're wondering, if you're frantically writing down this list of requirements for our next project, be aware I do post the PowerPoint slides that I'm using here on Canvas, so you can copy it down from there. Anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through and show you how to create all these different types of views from Revit. And the idea here is to really kind of create things that are much more interesting than the standard view from Revit. So first of all, here's a nice Revit project. It's the sample project that you get with the program, so I didn't create this all by myself. And this standard aspect ratio, that's the width to the height of this view, that is, I believe, 16:9, and it's just the default that you get from Revit. There's no great shakes about it. So your first exercise is to create an extra wide view. So I'm just going to duplicate this living room view, and I'll even rename it. And I'd like you to create one that's 4 times as wide as it is tall. And the way you do this, you can stretch it out using the grips, but the easiest way is to actually just click the size crop button. So select the crop region, click the size crop button, and you can change it there. I'm going to just use numbers that are easy to manipulate. Now the view is part of the project is to try and compose this extra wide aspect ratio into a view that's nice to look at, and I'm going to use my steering wheel here, which is always visible, and I think I'm going to zoom in just a little bit on this one because I'm seeing really too much window and wall, maybe I'll pull it up a little bit so we get a little higher eye height. And there we go, we have a nice perspective view. I can create another simple one here, which is kind of related, except that it is extra tall. I'm just going to rename this 1 to 4. And the 1 to 4, as you might imagine, is extra tall. And again, I'm just going to use the crop region to change the height. Now, what am I going to do with this particular view to make it an interesting perspective? Well, I think I'm zoomed out too far, so maybe I'll zoom in a little bit. I think I'm going to pan over a little bit so that I can see a little bit more of the wall too. I think that might be a nice view, and I kind of like the way it emphasizes the linear nature of the furniture layout and that it's such a long and lean view. And I think I will leave it so that the things in the foreground are fairly distorted. Okay, so this is just again manipulating the standard views in Revit. Another standard view that you often see is the axonometric view. What I'd like to do is create a cutaway axonometric. And again, I'm just going to duplicate this view. It's always a good idea to duplicate these because that allows you to not mess up the original in case you need to get to it. Anyway, the cutaway axonometric view, basically I just want to cut away, I think I'll cut away the roof and 2 of the walls so that I can see into the project. Now, this project happens to have a lot of site modeling to it, so I want to get rid of some of that too. Now, if you're having a little bit of trouble sort of seeing where you are in space and what you're cropping away, you can use these standard views on the view cube. I'm just going to click on the left view, and this will allow me to pretty easily crop away part of the model and set the vertical crop as well. And maybe I'll get rid of some of this ground because I don't need that. And you can go back and reorient the model. Oh, I think I messed up and need to crop away a little bit more of the front here. And let's see, I'll crop away this part here. Okay. Again, if you're not sure how much you've got, you can go to one of these side views and drag the section box up or down to get yourself the maximum amount of room that you can get. So this is a nice cutaway view, and I'm even going to go and hide this section box. And that can be a very interesting type of view for your project. This is particularly good for space planning projects or multi-story projects where you want to show simultaneously multiple levels. These light fixtures are a little weird, so I'm going to hide those in this view. But you don't have to. You can leave things in like that if you find that there's a lot of interaction between the lighting placement and other things. Now, another type of view that I'd like to create is I'd like to show off the entry sequence here that goes down these stairs and into this room. What I can do is create what's called a serial perspective. Now, that's not a perspective that has Captain Crunch in it. That is a perspective where it's a sequence of perspective views taken from different spots in the plan. What I think I'll do is I'll start at the top of the stairs and I'll work my way down the plan and maybe look up here at this nice fireplace. So what you need to do first is create a perspective view, and now I'm going to duplicate this view. I'm just going to create 5 copies, and maybe I'll rename this one Serial 1 or something like that. Or I could just allow it to be whatever name pops up automatically. Anyway, what you can do, you can use the steering wheel. There's walk tools and look around and up and down. So I could walk forward into this space a little bit. I could use the up-down tool to lower me into the room as if I'd come down the stairs. And maybe I'll even look slightly to the right. And now I'm going to duplicate this view, and I'll just let it be that name. And maybe I'll do the same thing. I'll walk forward a little bit. So I'm entering the room. And maybe I look to the right to get that lovely view out of the window. And now I'll come in and duplicate this view one more time and go back to looking forward so I don't bump into any furniture. And maybe I'll walk forward a little bit more. And what this will do is create a series of perspectives, again, that talk about how you enter the space. And I'll make one more copy here. And maybe on this one, I will come up, walk a little bit more into the space, and look down at the fireplace. Something like that. So there you go. That's the entry sequence for this project. Now, another type of view, and I'm going to actually just take my last view and duplicate that one. Another type of view that's a fun one to create is a vignette. Let me rename this. Vignette. And that is really a highly cropped view of your project. And what you're looking for is kind of a detail that is going to really show off your kind of aesthetic sense in the project. And now I'm going to crop the view so that it really just talks about this kind of moment in time in my project. You see how I'm cropping it down? I could probably even crop it more so that it's as if I'm looking out the window. In fact, I should probably put like a glass of wine or something on the edge of that couch. So to me, the vignette kind of just captures the spirit of the project. All right, one or two more views. One is a bird's eye view. And again, I'm going to start with the living room and duplicate it. And let me just rename it bird's eye. In this view, it's a little tricky because we need to get rid of the ceiling and we also need to move the camera. To get rid of the ceiling, we need to turn on the section box. That's in the view properties over here. The only trick is it's really hard to manipulate the section box in this view. Here it is, and it's just very difficult to fiddle around with. We can use the standard axonometric. If I have both views tiled, I just click the tile option under the view ribbon. Now, if I display the bird's eye section box, I'll just right-click on bird's eye and section box, but I'm in the axonometric view. Now I can see the section box from the other view, and I can crop away the ceiling. If you're not sure what you're getting, again, use the standard views to help you to crop away just the right amount. And you see how my ceiling now disappears. And of course, I could be much more precise in this category here. And now, so I've cropped away the ceiling. The only other trick is, how do I get the camera to be visible where it's looking from the top? Well, I can use my view cube, click on top view, and now suddenly I'm seeing the top of the model. I'm just going to crop away some more of it because I don't feel like seeing quite so much sight. And there is your bird's eye view. If you are off to the side like I am, sometimes it's hard to get just the right angle. You can, once again, use your axonometric view, and you can display the camera in this view. And let me take a look at it from the front. I think I'm off. Yes, see how I'm off just ever so slightly. You can just click and drag on the center of the camera to move it into position. And now we have a much more traditional bird's eye view. Now, other things that you can do is you can modify this view to have a slightly wider field of view, the focal length. And if I do that in this view, you can see that I can increase or decrease how distorted the view is. Pulling out tends to flatten things. Pulling in tends to distort them more. And I'll just zoom out, pan over ever so slightly. So that is going to be your bird's eye view. In the worm's eye view, we can do the same thing that we did before. Open up the axonometric view, tile them, and we want to put the camera underneath the project, right? We want the camera down in the ground. So what we'll do is show the camera from the other view. Take a look at it from the side. And now we can drag the camera underneath. The focal point is actually probably about the same. The big trick now is that, of course, we don't want to see the ground, which is what we're seeing over here. What we want to see is up into the project. So let's change the section box cropping, oops, wrong view, so that we do see the ceiling, and now we don't see the floor. And what you should see over in this view is a very nice worm's eye view. Now, in this view, by the way, this is my crop region, which I think is often hidden. If you want to figure out how big your perspective is, crop that view down so that it's close into your project. And in fact, I might even crop mine a little bit further. And then we can choose how big that is. Right now it's really small. We want all of our images to be at least 6 inches wide. So I'm going to lock the proportion here and make this 6 inches. And it will adjust the other side accordingly. And that will definitely have an effect on your line weights too. As I zoom in and look at this, I think the line weights are a lot nicer. So that's my bird's eye and my worm's eye. The one last type of view that you can do, I'm just going to duplicate this view one more time. Here's my standard view in black and white, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to change some of these graphic display options, and instead of allowing it to be just solid, I'm going to apply a certain degree of transparency. What you can do is you can kind of see through things, and this is a very interesting kind of view. It kind of gives you a little bit of the context of your project. You can also turn on what are called sketchy lines, and this is kind of a throwback to SketchUp, and that makes the lines look a little bit wiggly. And adding extension lines gives it a kind of hand-drawn look. And again, these can be very interesting views. You'd have to modify yours to decide how much transparency you like, but even just a little bit can be kind of a neat effect. So these are the standard views that I'd like you to have for next week. And again, I'd just like you to try to figure out how to set up each of these, and I'll leave time in class to help you all individually.